Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Innovation Demo Day. We're so excited to highlight some innovative solutions to reducing wasted food. I am joined by Mike Wolf, CEO and founder of The Spoon. The Spoon is our partner for today's event and provides daily reporting and insight on all things related to food tech. We will also be hearing from speakers from Kaijo, Gali Solutions, and Too Good to Go. First, I'll quickly provide some context about today's topic area, and then we can dive right into the demo presentations, really the main event you're all here for today. ReFED's roadmap to 2030 and the Insights engine outlines 7 key action areas shown on the current slide. Today, we'll be doing a deep dive into a segment of solutions that fall under the refined product management key action area. Within these 7 key action areas, we've analyzed more than 40 solutions along with their impact potential, some of which you'll hear about more today. Through ReFED's research and data, we've defined the refined product management key action area as a set of strategies and solutions that align food purchases with sales as closely as possible, finding secondary outlets to accommodate surplus, and building out systems and processes for optimal on-site handling. Today, we have the very special opportunity to speak with innovators from the 3 companies mentioned earlier, who will share more about their technologies that help retail and food service businesses manage their food surplus. We'll also have a chance to ask some questions of these speakers after each of their presentations, and I encourage you to send questions for the speakers through the chat function, and we will do our best to answer as many as possible during the Q&A. And finally, we will be sharing links out after each demo presentation if you are interested in finding a time to connect directly with the presenters. And with that, I am thrilled to begin the innovation demos. As you hear from our presenters today, I'd like to remind everyone to send any questions you have via the chat, and we will do our best to respond to as many of these as possible during the Q&A after each presentation. After the 3 demos are complete, we will bring all 3 presenters back on stage, and Mike will moderate a short panel with everyone. In addition, if you're interested in setting up a meeting with any of the presenters, we will be sharing information with the audience on how to sign up for a meeting with them. So first up, I am excited to introduce Anastasia Hoffman, one of the co-founders of Kaijo. Kaijo focuses on food waste management in the food service and hospitality industry by harnessing the power of AI technology. Kaijo's goal is to bring back the value of food so it is appreciated and not wasted. And with that, I'm going to hand it over for Kaijo's demo.
Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia Hofmann and I'm the co-founder of Kaijo. Thanks a lot to the organizers for inviting us here today. I'm looking forward to presenting a bit more about Kaijo and what we do at this Innovation Demo Day today. So Kaijo is simplifying food waste management for the hospitality industry. Concretely, this means we are automatically quantifying food waste with the help of AI for bigger food service outlets. And this helps them then to use a data-driven approach to mitigate food waste. Before I tell you a bit more about the product, however, I wanted to give some context how we even got started, as it is quite a niche product. So I met my co-founder Naomi McKenzie in university, where we studied international hospitality management in Switzerland. And we were actually working a lot in the industry ourselves and wasting a lot of food because it was just part of the job. But this really inspired us to create a product that can mitigate food waste and first off measure it, because we realized there's really a need for this product. Now we founded Kaijo in 2017, just the 2 of us, and then really went on to dive further into product development and commercialize the product just around COVID started in 2020. Now we're a team of a bit more than 20 people, and of course complemented our team with great tech talents, as our product is quite technical. We were also supported by an awesome advisory board consisting of serial entrepreneurs, tech roadmappers, and even chefs. The problem of food waste, I think we're all aware by now, is massive. It's a global issue, and not only does it have detrimental impacts on the environment, but also brings a huge cost for the economy. If we're looking at the food service industry right now, the raising input costs and food costs really put pressure on their margins. And one of the biggest problems our customers right now mention are staffing issues, leading to a lack of resources and a lack of time for everyone who is working. This, however, unfortunately has an impact on their food waste because there's really no overview of what gets wasted and how much of it. Yet, roughly 20% of all the food they purchase gets thrown away. At Kaijo, we believe what gets measured gets done. And this is why we have developed a system to automatically monitor and measure food waste for restaurants and canteens. Our solution consists of 3 parts: an IoT device, AI algorithms, and also a user dashboard. The hardware itself consists of a IoT device, a scale, and a camera. And any bin can fit on the scale. They can adjust the pole as well. Every time you throw something away, it takes the image, time, and the weight. And it really takes the image only once the food has landed in the bin, so we don't interrupt any existing workflows or have them wait under the camera to take an image or type anything in. Our algorithms then identify automatically what has been thrown away, and we show this on the user dashboard. So for the first time ever, customers can accurately and consistently know how much they wasted and identify patterns in their data. Based on this data, we then support our customers with tailor-made recommendations and best practices to support them to get the best results. They benefit from up to 60% reduction in avoidable food waste, which leads to an increase in their profit margins between 2 to 8%. This highly depends on the size of the outlet, the type of the outlet, and of course also the team on site. Alternatives to Kaijo back in the days were really either you have different bin sizes and you just have a general overview and you measure it by hand, or you type something in. And what we provide really is a higher accuracy and a more detailed analysis compared to alternatives on the market. Right now, we have over 100 devices active in the market, mostly based in Switzerland, but already a few trials around Europe. We're really excited because during COVID, it was, of course, not very easy to grow in this with these customers. But now, since this year, we've seen a quarterly MRR growth of already nearly 40% from the first to second quarter of 2022. And our customers are extremely happy because our contract renewal rate is more than 95% this year. So far, we've raised 6 million in funds. We're actually also raising funds right now. So if you would like to learn more about our open investment opportunity, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm excited to answer your questions now. Thank you.
Anastasia, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. That 95% contract renewal rate really stood out to me and speaks volumes to the value that you are bringing to your clients. I'll briefly introduce you and then let's jump into a few questions. Through various international work experiences within US and Europe, Anastasia developed a strong fascination for the hospitality industry. She holds a Bachelor of International Hospitality Management from École Hôtelière de Lausanne and is passionate about the improvement, development, and implementation of sustainable practices within this dynamic industry. Combining her personal interest for environmental topics with her industry experience, she co-founded a startup called Kaijo together with Naomi McKenzie in 2017. So, Anastasia, you mentioned some operational challenges that the food industry faces, such as staffing turnover and lack of resources and training and time. And of course, each of these things can lead to food waste if not properly addressed. Could you tell us a little bit more about how Kaijo addresses these challenges?
Sure. So I think in the first place, it's quite important to acknowledge the fact that there are issues, and also, for example, that food waste is an issue for the property. And only when you accept this fact, then you also realize that there could be blind spots in your operations, and that's when you can actually drive actions and results. So while with Kaijo, we can't specifically address the issue of, let's say, lack of staff in the industry, we can ensure that the existing staff members are not spending their time in in an inefficient way. So one example I can give here maybe is one of our customers, the Four Seasons Hotel in Geneva. They've been measuring with us since February this year. And they found out that they wasted nearly 50% of the famous Swiss beer muesli that exists, that they produced. So 50% of what they produced every day ended up in the bin. And that really shows that not only the food cost goes to waste, but really also the time of the chefs that they're spending in preparing this food is actually wasted. And they could have used it in a more efficient way. So with our customer success team, we really identify and support the customers with these tailor-made recommendations and actions so they can save their time, but also their resources and costs.
That's great. Thank you so much. Could you also tell us a bit about some of the milestones or partnerships that Kaijo is looking forward to in the near future?
Yeah, we have a few milestones ahead of us. One is definitely a bit more in the short term, is launching new features for our customers that will help them to boost their results even more. We're also looking to automate internal processes in order to also scale up in a more cost-efficient way. And I mentioned it before in the video, we're also looking to close our funding round in Q4 this year to continue our growth. And then for partnerships, we're doing first trials with different partnerships abroad. For example, waste management companies are quite interesting for us as a partner, which initially sounds maybe a bit like, as a surprise, but because they are kind of picking up the waste from the same customers that we are kind of trying to prevent the waste in, it's quite a good setup. So we're trialing that. And then we're also talking to, of course, kitchen equipment companies and food wholesalers such as Nestle, for example.
That's so exciting. We'll be looking out for the fruition of those partnerships in the future. One last question for you. One of the unique pieces of Kaijo's business model is really providing those tailored recommendations and client support that you provide after the initial food waste audit phase. Could you tell us about why you do this and what value it adds to the client and how measuring waste leads to cost savings for businesses?
Yeah, so there's a few questions in one question. Maybe to go a step back, when we started, we really thought, oh, we'll just provide this data and then they'll know what to do with it. And then turned out that didn't work so well. So some people, they knew what to do with it, but others didn't. And we realized that, okay, they need a bit more help with the data that we show them. And basically, that's why we also started then giving more active customer or creating this more active customer service that we're doing now. And we really realized that this was something that's now mentioned by our customers brings them the most value because it creates kind of a sense of responsibility and accountability for them. And not only this, what customers also mentioned is it made food waste a bigger topic in the organization, and it brought different people, the chefs, the F&B managers, even the general managers into the same room to discuss this issue and brainstorm solutions together with our customer success team on how to fix it. And so it put more emphasis on the issue, and it kind of pushed a bit of an organizational change. And that's actually essentially what we're trying to do here. It's not only measuring and giving data or greenwashing, we really want to push organizational change and make sure they have results.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anastasia. That's all the time that we have for now. And we will see you briefly in just a few moments for the group panel discussion.
Thank you.
For folks in the audience, please feel free to send along any questions for Anastasia through the chat. And if you're interested in connecting with her and her team at Kaijo, please fill out your availability using the link in the chat. Next up, we have Kirsten Van Fossen, the head of sustainability and education from Gali Solutions. Gali is working to improve the lives of people in the food industry so that they live more fulfilled lives, make better decisions to maximize the value of food, and are more satisfied in their jobs. They do this by building time-saving software and developing transformational learning programs. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to the Gali Solutions demo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten, and I want to tell you a bit more about Gali. Let's start with the team. So Gali was founded by these two after they both had firsthand experience with the stress of the food service environment. They founded the company with a strong purpose, and that's why we've been able to attract such an amazing team. So our purpose, we're working to improve the lives of people in the food industry so that they live more fulfilled lives, make better decisions to maximize the value of food, and are more satisfied in their jobs. Let's talk about the solution. So Gali is a software that manages back-of-house kitchen operations. It provides a simple framework for the things that start to add up and get complicated very quickly in the stressful kitchen environment. So those are things like unit conversions, scaling recipes, allergens, nutrition information, purchasing, inventory. A lot of kitchens still manage this work with pen and paper, and if not with pen and paper, then with cobbled together system of different software products that aren't talking to each other. This leads to human error, which leads to waste. How often do we hear about waste that stems from over-purchasing or overproduction? Gali really simplifies the complexity of this work. Gali fundamentally understands food data, and Gali easily integrates with other systems via the open API. So when you start to move away from the chaos and headache of those other systems we talked about to a system like Gali, you're not only reducing food waste, you're also reducing wasted time, wasted budget, wasted labor, wasted energy. With that, you're really starting to implement a zero waste culture. So Gali's at the heart of a zero waste culture. And this was a concept, this idea of Gali powering this culture that came from a customer. So Mike Perez, if you're listening, thanks. I told you I would steal this one day. And actually, on that note, I want to share another customer testimonial. So let's go ahead and watch.
We've been able to realize profit because we actually know right where our cost of goods are and what that's going to be. So we have happier operators. It's day in and day out. I hear reports from our directors and our chefs about, gosh, I don't know what we did before Gali. I am Kate Smith, and I'm corporate chef for Meriwether Gotzi. We had our stuff in a bunch of different systems. We were trying to make it much easier for all of our production staff, our chefs, our directors, that sort of thing, to kind of have one source of truth. We had recipes, some of them were in a recipe system, some of them were just in Google Docs. I will say costing was our next place for us to get true costing for our recipes. It was a legal pad and us, writing it all out and going out to our vendors and coming back. And now that Gali's been introduced to us, this is a great tool for all of our chefs, for them to be able to size recipes and plan out their menus, knowing exactly, again, what it's going to cost. So it can show us exactly what that hamburger is going to cost or exactly what that casserole costs. It integrates all of our recipes, our production planning, our purchasing, helps us have insight into nutritional information for all of our recipes and products that we might be using so that we can communicate that to our clients. It's very easy for everybody to access in our kitchen because it works through the cloud. It has reduced the amount of time that it takes to do those things that it takes to operate a kitchen. It's easy to expand recipes and to scale recipes. It's quick and easy to plan production. I would say purchasing is probably one of our biggest wins. Employee satisfaction, I'd say 100% across the board. We have happier operators. I hear reports from our directors and our chefs about, gosh, I don't know what we did before Gali. Now that Gali's been introduced to us, this is so much easier.
All right, let's talk about traction. So here, I really just want to share a sample of the diverse range of customers we work with. Meriwether Gotzi represents non-commercial dining in education and other institutions. DoorDash represents the direct-to-consumer marketplace, and Meals on Wheels represents nonprofits and feeding organizations. We also work with caterers, restaurants, and then here on the right, I want to mention our investors. We're grateful for their support, most recently with the Series A. All right, so these are the best ways to reach us. If you want to have a conversation about your sustainability impact, I'm your person. If you want to jump into a sales discovery call, Jonathan is your person. And we both love meeting new people, helping to maximize impact. So please do reach out. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kirsten, and welcome. And thank you so much for being here. It's really inspiring to see how Gali Solutions is uplifting the importance of preventing wasted food while empowering food service businesses to future-proof their operations. And that's really a critical piece of long-term success. I'll briefly introduce you, and then we can jump into a couple of questions.
Sounds great.
Kirsten Van Vossen is Gali's Head of Sustainability and Education. The sustainability side of her work covers ESG, impact creation and measurement, and the educational side of her work covers Gali employee learning and development, as well as customer and partner education. Kirsten especially enjoys working with Gali customers on how they can leverage technology to prevent food waste, upcycle surplus food, and improve food service worker well-being. With a PhD from the University of Cambridge Engineering Department's Center for Industrial Sustainability, Kirsten has expertise in sustainable business model innovation, systems thinking, and stakeholder management, all of which she applies to her food systems work at Gali and beyond to understand how we can create greater value for a greater number of stakeholders. So Kirsten, we just heard from Anastasia about the importance of tailoring the post-audit feedback and recommendations for food waste reduction strategies. I know from our more in-depth demo with Gali team last week that Gali has a particular focus and strength in tailoring its technology for a variety of client use cases. Could you talk a bit more about why it's important for the technology to be tailored to these different needs?
Yeah. So tailoring the technology based on the use case is super important because really what we're doing when we introduce technology into food service operations, we're introducing a change. So there's a lot of change management here. And when we are able to tailor our technology and tailor it to their operation, we're really understanding how they do things. We're not creating as much change as we might if we came in with, a system that didn't have the flexibility like Gali. So change, it's really hard, and it's one of the reasons that we've put so much thought into the flexibility of the system, so that we can really tailor this system to be what our customers need, match with their current workflows. We don't want to change things overnight. So if we didn't go down this path of tailoring the solution, the technology might not feel like a good fit for organizations. It might not feel relevant. It wouldn't have the user adoption rate. And we do have really great user adoption based on this ability to customize. So if we don't have adoption rates, we don't have impact, we're not preventing food waste. So again, tailoring the technology all goes back to adoption and change management. And yeah, that's how we're going to make the impact.
That's great. And that makes so much sense. We've all heard about and likely have all been personally impacted by the supply chain disruptions resulting from the pandemic, as well as extreme weather events and, of course, international conflict. How can Gali help to insulate food businesses from the instability of potential supply chain disruptions?
Yeah. So I've seen a number of examples over the years. And maybe one of the best ways to answer this question is to kind of start from our data model. So in Gali, there are lots of different types of data. You have our ingredient and vendor data, and we have this notion of these two things being different, but they're linked. So the vendor data, vendor items, those are the specific things that you buy for an ingredient. And an ingredient gets used in a recipe, right? And then recipes get used to build menus. And then from the menus, you do your purchasing and other advanced workflows. But I think just sharing that data structure helps answer the question, because I've seen examples at different levels. So with disruptions, right? One of our clients might find that they can't get a vendor item from their primary vendor. So in Gali, there's the ability to add backup vendor items. And, you know, if there's some disruption, they can't get an item from their primary vendor, then they've got the backup vendor right there. They know how that's going to impact their costs. They know how that's going to impact, you know, timing, all sorts of things, because that data is in Gali. If there's a disruption like industry-wide to a specific ingredient, Gali can really help organizations quickly think of substitute a completely new ingredient into a recipe, and that can be easily communicated throughout the organization. And then at the sort of recipe menu level, again, if there's a disruption and someone needs to communicate quickly about a menu change, that's something that they can do in Gali, shift out a recipe. You know, there's labor shortages. We've heard a lot about turnover in the industry, and maybe you find that the staff you've got in one day isn't prepared to make a particular set of recipes. You can quickly change things in Gali and communicate that to your team.
Right. That's awesome. And finally, are there any noteworthy features or upcoming technology changes that you'd like to highlight for us today?
Yeah. So one feature that I just heard about the other day is this ability to lock editing for particular recipes. And that's that can be particularly important for recipes that are marketed as allergen free. Because if you know, a recipe there is accidentally tampered with, that could be a big problem, right? And that can cause the organization to press pause, maybe even take all of that product back if they're not exactly sure what happened there. So yeah, we've recently rolled out this feature to lock editing, and that's another way that you can be preventing food waste. If you don't have those mistakes, or if you feel better about the whole production pathway, then yeah, you don't have to worry about recalling some of these things.
Wow, that's great. We'll definitely keep our eyes on the development of that feature in the coming months ahead. Well, thank you so much, Kirsten. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for now. We'll see you in a few short minutes for the group panel discussion.
Okay, sounds good.
And for folks in the audience, feel free to send along any questions for Kirsten through the chat. And if you're interested in connecting with Kirsten and her team at Gali Solutions, please fill out your availability using the link that's coming through the chat. And last, but certainly not least, we are joined by Tyler Simmons, Head of Key Accounts at Too Good To Go. Too Good To Go is the app powering the world's #1 marketplace for buying surplus food, all offered at a third of the retail price. The app connects its users with uneaten extra products at local restaurants, cafes, bakeries, and grocery stores to ensure delicious food doesn't go to waste at the end of the day. Welcome, Tyler. Now let's go ahead and we'll see your demo.
Hello, my name is Tyler Simmons. I'm here to talk to you about Too Good To Go. I'm thrilled to be part of the ReFED Food Waste Innovation Demo Day and look forward to hearing questions from you after the presentation. To start, Too Good To Go is a platform that's built to help fight food waste at the retail store level. But before we dive into the solution, I want to dive into the team behind it. So we're headquartered out of Denmark in Copenhagen, and Mette Lykke is our CEO. She's been our CEO for 5 years, and prior to that was the founder of Endomondo, which was acquired by Under Armour in 2015. In addition to Mette, one of our other leaders is Lucy Vache, who's one of the most influential women in France, and has really led our mission as we've expanded across Europe and into North America. In the US, we have deep focus on businesses, consumers, and impact. On the business side, I lead our enterprise sales team, where we're focused on bringing on chains of all sizes to help us in our mission and to bring real value to their businesses. On the marketing side, we're led by Claire Oliverson, who's focused on how we engage with consumers and get more awareness about our platform and our mission, and focused on engaging with our business partners and enticing them to work with us through our B2B marketing efforts. In addition to that, on the impact side, Gali Quinn leads our efforts to help fight food insecurity and ensure that whatever we do, it's benefiting those in need, either through food or donations in partnership with the partners on our platform. On the board, we're led by Preben Damgaard, Mike Lee, and Jesper Lindholm. So now let's talk about the solution itself. At Too Good To Go, we work with stores to help them sell surplus food. Nearly every single food business has surplus food at the end of the day that they have not sold. And so at Too Good To Go, we help enable them to sell that food to users who have downloaded our app, who want to purchase that food at 1/3 the price through what we call a surprise bag. And that surprise bag can contain any edible food. So businesses don't have to guarantee that a user will be getting a certain type of item. They can just sell whatever is left at the end of the day to ensure it doesn't go to waste. We are actually one of the first tech for good B2C apps focused on the surplus food space, and we ensure that delicious food does not go to waste and cause harm to our planet. At the core of what we do, it's a win-win-win. It's a win for consumers because they get to engage with brands in a novel way, save food, and do good for the planet. For businesses, they get to recoup sunk costs. They were already going to throw that food away. We enable them to sell it and to bring new customers into their store, which is extremely important in the age of delivery and digital ordering. Finally, and most importantly, the planet benefits. Methane is one of the most harmful gases, and it's what is released when food decomposes improperly in the landfill. It happens far too much, as so much food is wasted, and so the planet benefits when food is not thrown into the landfill but consumed by users. Let's take a quick look at what the app experience looks like. Users actually look through our app for restaurants, stores, or businesses of their choosing. They reserve a bag. They go to that store at the designated time. The business prepares that bag, hands it over, and the user goes home. That's it. There's no transaction required at the point of purchase, and the user gets to experience that brand positively and ensure they're having the best possible experience. Now let's look at our traction. In 2018, we saved 25 million meals. By 2020, that had jumped to 100 million meals saved in total, and we'd launched in the US. By 2025, we expect to save 1 billion meals. That would offset the CO2 emissions from over 141,000 Americans for an entire year. That's the type of impact that this small action of saving food can make. And we've made a lot of impact so far. We've saved over 152 million meals. We've reached over 61 million users globally. We're live in 17 countries, 15 in Europe, as well as the US and Canada. And we work with over 163,000 partners. And that includes individually owned bakeries, all the way up to some of the largest brands in the world. We're also getting a lot of positive credentials from this. So we were named to Fast Company's 10 most innovative companies of 2022. And we were also on Time's 100 most influential companies list. We're also getting a huge amount of traction in the social sphere. We've had many TikTok videos doing an unboxing of a surprise bag that have garnered millions of views. And not only does this bring attention to our platform, but it also brings attention to the mission that we are working towards, which is to eliminate food waste. We've had over 6 billion views of the many articles that we've had posted, both focused on the B2C element of people engaging with our platform, as well as B2B and how we help businesses fight this problem and monetize their surplus food. And some of the businesses that we work with range from local and regional favorites like District Taco, Good Eggs, Just Salad, and Blue Bottle, as well as major national players like Panera, Starbucks, Safeway, and Wakefern. And our hope is that we can work with every single food business in the US market and eventually in the world to help create a full marketplace of businesses who are reducing their surplus food going to waste as low as possible, and consumers who understand that they can interact with businesses in a positive way and supplement the food that's in their fridge or on their table with perfectly delicious food that may be at the end of its retail sales life. This is a truly important mission, but more importantly, a great opportunity for businesses and for consumers to do something positive to economic, marketing, and business gain. It's a really exciting opportunity. It's a really exciting time to be working on this effort. And if you'd like to learn more, please ask me any questions in the Q&A, or check out our various social channels, or reach out to us directly at partnerships@toogoodtogo.com. Thank you very much.
Tyler, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. It's so cool to see a business-to-consumer model rallying partners of different sectors and sizes around the common vision of reducing food waste. So I'll quickly introduce you, and then we can jump into a few questions. Tyler oversees acquisition and partnership with chains across the US in both the food service and retail sectors, and his team helps food businesses ensure their surplus food does not go to waste. Prior to his time at Too Good To Go, Tyler was the director of business development at Bowery Farming, bringing delicious local indoor grown lettuce to the shelves of grocery stores across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So Tyler, in your experience so far, what's been the most compelling marketing approach? Are users more motivated by saving money or supporting local businesses or reducing emissions related to food waste?
That's a great question. It's really all of the above. We've seen an incredible amount of consumer adoption and excitement about our platform. We first launched in Europe. We have presence in 15 countries across Europe, and it's very much a household name there. But when we came to the US 2 years ago, it was a bit of an uncertainty as to how much take we would have and how much interest there would be. And we've been pleasantly, not surprised, but pleased to see the results of just huge consumer adoption. So as I mentioned in the presentation, we've had incredible success on social media. The whole unboxing fad is a very big thing on YouTube and TikTok. And the fact that our surprise bags are this mystery, we've seen a lot of folks who are influencers or not even influencers post these videos at a Dairy Queen or a bakery or whatever it might be, and get millions of views. Like we have some videos that over 8 million views for people just opening surprise bags. So that's really cool to see. And that has been its own kind of marketing channel. And then we've put a lot of effort into our PR. And making sure that people are just aware, both in the B2C and B2B communities, or consumer and business communities. And so that has been extremely, extremely helpful. But word of mouth, I mean, Reddit forums, Facebook, things like that, our consumers like to proliferate what we do. And that might be the most effective of all because it's just so organic and so genuine.
Wow, that's great. And one more question for you. What excites you most about Too Good To Go's platform? Actually, it's two questions. And why do you think this is the right solution for the problem of food waste?
Sure. So I'll do the second one first and then the first one. So I think it's the right solution because, you know, there's a collective need. You need policy, you need businesses, you need consumers all to come together. Policy, we'll see. Fortunately, you know, the new act signed by President Biden hopefully has an impact on climate. But on the business and consumer side, there just aren't that many day-to-day actions that consumers can take to positively influence or make a positive impact on the environment. And we enable that. We enable just a simple purchase of a surprise bag of food at 1/3 the cost, and you prevent food from going into landfill and releasing methane. So that's why I feel that it's really one of the right solutions. There's no single solution, but we are really set up to get mass consumer adoption and mass business adoption and create this very positive marketplace, which leads to answering the first question, what gets me excited about it? Climate is a scary, scary problem. And food waste is a major contributor. And these are like heavy things. And we don't underplay the severity and the importance of that, but we do make the experience of doing good fun. And that's really hard to find. Like there just aren't that many fun things these days. I mean, there are, but like in terms of taking action. And this is just a little thing that any person can do to have a novel way to interact with a brand. We also hear that on the store side, employees get really engaged by this as well. It's fun to make bags and think about what goes together. What's a consumer actually going to like and make them want to come back and do it again or shop at retail value. So the funness of it and the mystery is kind of novel. And that in itself gets me going a little bit, because it's like, everything's so serious all the time. It's nice to have a little joy in a little micro moment of joy in your day.
That's great. And I completely agree. Thank you so much, Tyler. I'm going to transition us into our panel discussion. For folks in the audience, if you liked what you saw and are curious to learn more, you can set up time to connect with Tyler and his team at Too Good To Go by clicking on the link in the chat. And without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce our wonderful moderator for this panel, Mike Wolf, CEO and co-founder of our event partner today, The Spoon. Thanks for being here, Mike. I'll hand it over to you to run the show.
Hey, thank you. As always, I love partnering with the ReFED team. They do such a great job and have such a great community that's so engaged. And Selena did a fantastic job really doing this first set of interviews. So I think everyone has this context. So as we jump into the group panel, I just kind of want to jump into some of the questions. What I love about this panel is we have all aspects of operational optimization, whether that's food waste data, and operational optimization, and surplus food management. So I really love the different representation here. So let's jump into it. So the first question I want to ask is, I think we all saw, as we entered the pandemic, a lot of food tech companies saw a lot of growth and a lot of venture funding flow into it. But as operations have normalized and we started to come out of it, we've been writing at The Spoon, and we've seen other stories about how some companies in food tech, restaurant tech in particular, have seen a decline in customers. There's been some layoffs, but I'm not seeing that necessarily with food waste management. So, Kirsten, I want to direct this first question to you. You're kind of straddling, restaurant as well as food waste management. I'd love to hear, how you're seeing your business adjust and what you're seeing as you come out of the pandemic, what you're hearing from your customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And first, Mike, if I could just clarify that question, and I think I need to subscribe to your newsletter and read about some of this food tech that's falling out of favor. But yeah, what do you mean by that exactly?
Oh, so there's been a number of restaurant tech companies, particularly around digital transformation and particularly consumer-facing, companies restaurants had to digitize their operations, allow for delivery, et cetera. So a lot of it's more the consumer-facing digitization technologies.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is I haven't seen necessarily any sort of downside or any sort of kind of layoffs or anything around food waste management, because it seems like you guys are doing pretty great just generally as a class. So I just kind of want to hear what you're hearing from your customers.
Yeah. So I asked that question because we really haven't been seeing that for Gali's business, right? We've seen that business has been strong coming out of the pandemic, and for a lot of our customers or prospective customers, I think it was a bit of a wake up call. There were lots of different things being asked of them, sometimes pivoting into new business models, spinning up a slightly new operation like direct to consumer. We saw some of our clients who worked primarily in corporate environments, right? They very quickly spun up direct to consumer, delivering meals to their door. And Gali really enabled that flexibility, that ability to spin up new concepts, and to integrate with this digital, sometimes new digital ecosystem for these food service operations that was being asked of them. So we've seen that a lot of our customers have kept multiple channels open. They've still maintained ordering in advance, and Gali is a system that helps them keep those different channels organized.
Got it. Anastasia, I want to ask you a question next. I mean, there's obvious benefits to your technology, and I could see it being adopted by a lot of companies worldwide, but there's still such a huge total available market for you available. There are some obvious barriers to adoption of some of the technologies, like, in food waste management. So what are some of those? And then how do you see overcoming some of those barriers to accelerate impact?
Yeah, so in our case, actually, these barriers that you're talking about, there are definitely still barriers. One big part that we are experiencing is kind of this educational part, that when you talk to customers, and it's also B2B sales, by the way, to bigger groups. So we're targeting bigger groups, international hotel and food service groups. So sales is anyway takes quite a lot longer than B2C, for example. But there's still about convincing them that effectively there is an ROI in reducing your food waste. So there's this educational aspect that we're seeing, that the conversation has changed since we started this in 2017. There has been a lot of change, and I think even COVID, so your previous question, has also increased the awareness for sustainable topics. But still, for scaling up this adoption, on one hand, we just need more case studies and really show that there can be really savings can be made. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest points.
How about you, Tyler? I mean, I love the idea of too good to go. I love this idea of kind of getting that mystery bag. And I'm sure a lot of your corporate clients are excited about finding a channel for surplus food. But what are you hearing from them in terms of, okay, we'd love to do this, but we have a little bit of an internal challenge to transition to it? Any sort of barriers you've encountered for your company?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is getting that operational buy-in, because every company is strapped on, whether it be hiring and staffing and retention to inflation and the cost of goods and all these things. What we tend to see is that is the hardest part. And then once you get them to try it, they're like, that's it. Like, oh, that's super easy. And so I think really getting, the right champion at a corporate headquarters to be like, I know that we're strapped, but let's just try this at 3 stores and see if it works. And if it does, then we can expand it, and just kind of, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it's like just getting them to give it a shot almost always results in positive feedback from employees, from corporate, from consumers. And so getting that opportunity is the critical piece of getting it off the ground, because it's never a good time to do something new. It's always a matter of like, how does it fit in the priority stack, and how is a business going to lever the urgency of this versus the 8 million other things on their desk. This is an easy, actionable way to make a positive climate impact and also create a new channel for engaging with consumers in a pretty exciting, novel way.
Kirsten, I was interested to hear earlier how you really tailor your solutions for specific use cases. So kind of asking a similar, kind of the same question, is part of you helping organizations overcome their internal barriers, that optimization around the specific use cases? I would imagine that helps accelerate for different organizations.
Yeah. I think I'd have to say change management. This is the biggest challenge, right? So tailoring the product for the use case, tailoring not just the product, but the services, right? We put a lot of care into creating an onboarding process that's really smooth, working with teams to understand what will work best for training their teams. And we've put a lot of work into our user interface, user experience. So all of those things, I think, contribute to making it less of an overwhelming change for our clients and users.
Great. I've noticed just generally companies in this broader category, I think, tend to do a fairly good job in terms of centering their organizations and focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I think we can all do better in that regard. So I want to, ask you, I'll start with you, Anastasia. How is your company organization think about diversity and equity and inclusion? And how have you incorporated that into your organizational strategy?
It's a very good question. Because it is a big topic in the hospitality industry. So it is an international field. Like people travel around, go and work all over the place. So it is quite a dynamic and exciting industry to be part of. But it also, when you're selling a product or a service to these customers, you have to be aware of the fact that your users at the end of the day are going to be maybe from different countries, speaking different languages and all of this. And so when we were building our product, we were quite aware of this, that people who are using our product are not necessarily have a different background, have a different way of thinking. And so when building it, it's quite important to not also, as soon as you handle data, to overcomplicate it, because some people also, especially now in the example of chefs are our main users, and they are people, they like to cook, they like to create something with their hands, and they don't necessarily want to spend their time in front of a computer looking at Excel sheets. And so that was always a big part, that we really look at the different nationalities, backgrounds, who's going to use it, and build the product accordingly. And I think being based in Switzerland, we anyway already come with this culture. So we have 4 national languages in a tiny country that is not even the size, not even, I think, the 8th of Texas. So we already had to build our product in 3 different languages from the start. And that also, of course, makes it a bit more complex then, but increases, I guess it will make it easier once you expand in Europe, because you already have French, German, English on your dashboard, and people speak the languages in your team.
Tyler, you have an interest in business. You face consumers, you also face corporate clients. I mean, can you talk a little bit to maybe how you guys address that, particularly on the consumer facing side, some best practices to make sure that you are addressing diversity and equity and inclusion?
Yeah, I mean, on the consumer side, I think part of it is just having a diversity of options on the app. So different, types of businesses, different locations of businesses, so that anyone, whether you're in the heart of Manhattan or, a more kind of food desert environment, has the option to purchase food through the platform. We also, we look for ways to make the app as inclusive as possible, thinking about, how do we add language factors in there? How do we make sure that the usability is as simple as possible? So it is, the aim is to make food more accessible. And we do that inherently in the discounted price of a bag of perfectly good food. And so, priority number 1 for us is reducing food waste, but we also want to fight food insecurity, make food more accessible, even encourage or work with our partners who choose to donate the revenue that they gain from our program to food insecurity channels, food banks and other organizations, which is actually extremely helpful to those organizations, because they're obviously very strained from a logistical perspective. So in whatever way we can, we have a big focus on impact and food insecurity. And I think that's probably the biggest way that we're addressing a range of different audiences, and trying to help as much as we can in whatever area we are able to, with that core goal of reducing the overall waste profile in the market.
Got it. I knew this would go fast because great panelists, short amount of time. I do want to just let you know, we've been seeing the great questions coming in. So I do want to kind of apologize in advance for not getting to all those, but I want to remind all of you, if you want to schedule time with any of our presenters today, we're encouraging you to do that. They'd love to have one-on-one conversations with you. So drop a little bit of a notice in the chat, and the ReFED team will connect you with these folks to kind of have those one-on-ones, learn more, and possibly see if there's ways you guys can work together. And I think we're almost out of time, Selena. Man, that went super fast. So I think real quickly, I'm going to give you each 30-second one final question. You each have about 30 seconds. And I'll start with you, Kirsten. If there's one thing you would encourage folks to walk away from, or one seed you'd want to plant in their brain, what is it today?
I think partnership. Yeah. it's with any customer we work with, it's a real, we think of it in terms of partnership, and we also want to be partnering with like the folks that we've got here today. So it's really cool for us all to be here.
Anastasia.
I think looking at the fact that most food waste in high-income countries comes from private households, I would love for people to walk away from this today thinking about their private households and like one easy trick how they can reduce food waste, and kind of think twice before you throw something away. You know, the freezer is your best friend, and I think in America you guys have big fridges and big freezers, so use them because yeah,
I love
a lot of resources went into creating this product, so don't waste it.
I love that. And by the way, if anyone has great kind of best case ideas or hacks around what Anastasia just said, drop it in the chat. Tyler, real quick, you.
Well, for tips, follow the Too Good To Go Instagram handle. We have a lot on how to save your food. But I would say opportunity. You know, food waste is a burden for businesses, but if you reframe it, it actually is an opportunity to do something good, an opportunity to give consumers the ability to make a difference, to make money, to engage with people, engage with consumers, and to really flipping your perspective on food waste being sunk cost and food waste being a burden into food waste is actually an asset and an opportunity to do something good and doing something creative for your business or as a consumer for your household. It really reframes and hopefully drives action.
That's great. Hey, thank you so much. This has been a great time interviewing you guys. And Selena, I want to hand it back to you.
Thanks so much, Mike. That was an awesome panel. And I'd like to extend a huge thank you to our speakers for sharing their time with us and all of our audience members for joining us today. Quickly, before we all head out, we do have a short poll and we'll be sharing upcoming events and opportunities. There is, of course, so much innovation happening in the world of product management and food waste, and also still so much to learn. So we really want to encourage all of you to connect with our speakers who are all doing important work in this space. If you'd like to reach out to any of the presenters from today's events, we'll be sending links through the chat one more time. And if you do miss these, feel free to reach out to my colleague Lily at lily.hurd@refed.org, and she can make an introduction via email. If you'd like to rewatch today's presentation, we will be sharing a recording in an email to the audience, and it will, of course, be posted on ReFED's website. We're always looking to improve our programming, so in that vein, we would love if you could take a few short moments to share your feedback by answering the poll questions that have appeared on the screen. Your responses will be anonymous, and if you have any additional feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out and email us. I'll give people a few more moments to submit their responses. And while you are doing that, I'd love to share a few upcoming events and opportunities. Today's event was co-hosted by ReFED's Food Waste Action Network and The Spoon. If you're not already a part of the Food Waste Action Network, also known as FWAN, and want to find out about events like this and more networking opportunities, please sign up using the link coming through the chat. I also want to mention that there are several webinars coming up over the next few months. There will be one focusing on inflation's impact on food waste happening at the retail level, and a third one about the power of catalytic capital. So whether you're a funder or an innovator or a food business, or if you're just curious about food waste, I recommend you check these events out. You can use a QR code on the screen to be directed to our events page to register, or you can use a link coming through in the chat. And that's it for today. I'll leave this slide up for another minute or so that you can grab the QR code or any of the links that we shared today. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.